Hey, anybody there? To accommodate most of you Pacific Standard Time people, I did 8 p.m. my time, which is not operating in my strength, so I'm doing my peppermint and my wild orange. I don't think any of you are here yet anyways. Holler if you're here. Woo! Somebody's here. Gwen! Hello, Gwen. I'm applying my peppermint and wild orange because to accommodate you guys at 7 o'clock, it's 8 o'clock for me, and I'm pooped. Hi there. We volunteered tonight at the Ronald McDonald House, and man, that's really a blessing. But anyways, I'm usually dead and in my pajamas at 8 o'clock. So I'm just sitting here, if you're just joining me, whiffing my, oopsie, let's turn it around. Sorry. My wild orange and peppermint, because I'm excited about tonight. Hi, Gwen. Hi, Carolyn. Carolyn, what a small world, huh, about Heather? It's really fun on Heather to see people that we had no idea that we're all friends with. So, really cool. Yay, love you too. Hi, Chris. Okay, so tonight I'm really excited because it's one of my favorite topics. I pretty much love anything leadership. So this is going to be a really fun night for me, and it's not going to be very long, so stay engaged, stay tuned. I see who won last night. They're not even on yet, so let's see if they get on. But remember last night, I can't even tell you how excited I am of all you guys. You can tell I'm very passionate about LRP and very frustrated that I think that people don't know it like the back of their hand and can't say with their eyes closed without thinking how awesome it is and the great benefits. So my challenge was to you guys, as you know, was to give me the 5 benefits, and I didn't care if I read it over and over and over and over because I wanted you guys to state it over and over. So anyways, I said that I'd put you all, and I think there was about, 13 or 14 of you that did it, that I would enter you in a drawing for an Aroma Touch Kit. Woohoo! This is the second one I've given away. I gave the first one, Carrie one, and the second one goes to Becky Parks. Pretty exciting too because she's a relatively new leader. And last Sunday, she did a class all by herself. She's only had one class before, and I taught it. She lives in San Diego. And she did a second one Sunday. And a few of you, my leaders, you would know that I just did it. Gwen and Jolie participated, and Carrie. My leaders, and there's about 12 people that did it. I had a text blitz that we did for a pretty long time, 12 days or so. Anyways, one of our challenges, as you remember, was to get classes on the calendar. And so Carrie, my daughter, even though she's in Denver, she got on the calendar and booked classes, and one of them is Becky Parks, and she is under my daughter Carrie and my daughter Kristen. And like I said, we only did one class, so she was operating in her fear zone, and she pushed through it, and she did her first class all by herself on Sunday, and she enrolled 4 people. So good job, Becky. So anyways, I did not pick her by myself, though. I did use random name picker, and lucky I already sent a kit home with my mom because I figured somebody would win from San Diego, which why it was funny that Carrie won. So anyways, let's get started. You know, every single night I've reviewed because I hope that we're getting the skills and we keep moving forward, and so I'm reviewing hi Becky, but it's the different Becky than the one that won the kit. Anyways, so we're reviewing what we've done, and last night, we did a lot extensively back on LRP to try to solidify that in your brain, and also we talked about sampling, but we went into a lot more depth with the scripts, and I read off some examples, and then I said that I will post them, which I promise I will. And then we talked about the wellness consults and gave you 2 different options or an option all of your own. So that was a review of what we covered last night. And then again, I had you write down the 5 benefits of LRP because my goal is that you honestly could whip those off with your eyes closed. So that's that. And then I talked about what I'm definitely going to start doing. And I really want to talk about, we talked about sampling first. And the reason we sample first is to have success before we invite them to a class. So by the time we get them to a class, really all we're doing is signing them up. So that's the whole point of that. And I'm not going to go into that again because I've done it a couple times, but that's the whole reason we sample first. Then we invite them to classes, and it is after we sample them that we invite them to classes. And then at the class, and remember that we also make it an option, total option, that they can stay afterwards for like 15 minutes to hear the business side of doTERRA, and that's optional. But then we do our wellness consult, and we went all into that last night, how you do the wellness consult. But then from the wellness consult, we want to help them through the what's next. And I talked about doing a punch card and giving some kind of a gift away for them completing the classes. But I talked about having 8 continuing education classes. And I listed about, well, I have 13 here, and you might have some of your own, but you're only going to choose 8. And they're going to rotate through over and over and over so that at any point someone could start. They could start on number 4, and they're going to do 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then come back and do 1, 2, and 3. They don't have to do them every week, but ideally you're going to run them every week, and you're going to have the same 8. You could teach them all yourself, or you could team tag with people to teach these continuing education classes. And the thing is, yes, you can do them online, totally. There's just not as much accountability online, so that's the only drawback with online. So suggestions would be, here's 13 of them. Basics of essentials, you know, it's just like your basics, what are they and how do I use them? And then there's pain management, because that's a real big deal with people. And there's a whole aroma touch. People don't even know about our aroma touch oils, the series of 8, and the application and what you do with them and how anyone can do it. You don't have to be certified, but a lot of us on our team are, and you can give the benefits of the aroma touch. And you can certainly talk about how you can just do the aroma touch hand technique, and that you can do that anywhere, you know, at your workplace or whatever. And then you talk about emotions and mood, that's a class. And then body systems is a class. And then science of essentials, and then cleanse and restore, hormones and women's health, skincare, lifelong vitality, sleep, cleaning and a healthy home, and then weight control. So that's just an idea of 13 classes. I would only choose 8 of those for my continuing that I'd be doing all the time. So let's talk about that. I've talked a lot about the Fred factor and being the special you that you are and operating in your strengths. Well, in the same manner, I'm going to recommend that for your continuing education classes. And let me give you an example of what I mean. A lot of you know Jennifer Olin. She's my sponsor. She's enrolled by Lane, and she was my sponsor, and she's awesome. I know a lot of what I know because of Jennifer. She's been awesome, and she was a great sponsor for me. So in the beginning stages, just like a lot of you are in your beginning stages, she, of course, was letting me use any of her stuff, and she was helping me, and just like your upline people are willing to share their stuff with you. But one time, and she's from the medical field. She's way more over my head medically smart than me. She says words that I've not even heard of. And so one time I was teaching a class, and she was so nice to give me her notes, right? And so I was looking at her notes during the class, and I kind of was stumbling over the words. And finally I just put them down, and I said to people, you know what? Jennifer is so smart in this area, but this isn't me. I don't understand these words. And so I have to operate in my strength. And so you have to operate in your strength. And again, don't try to be Jolie if you're on Jolie's team. Don't try to be Gwen if you're on Gwen's team. Operate in your strength and who you are. And if you remember, I think it was the first night I talked to you about when I went to my very, very first conference that I ever went to with doTERRA, and it was in Carlsbad, California, and they had all these diamonds on stage. They each got like 5 minutes to give their tidbits, and this one lady who really, honestly, was hilarious and kind of seemed like a dingbat, and she's way high up in doTERRA, and she said, you know, that she believes in the lifelong vitality, and she tells people, I can't tell you what's in them, I could just tell you they work, and she just giggled, oh, and it was kind of funny. She kind of seemed like a, you know, kind of airy. But that was the thing, is she's being honest. She's saying, I don't get the science behind them, but I use them. All I can tell you is they work. So that worked for her. So again, on these 13 classes I just listed, just looking at them, for instance, I probably myself would not choose body systems. That'd be a little harder for me to teach, and so I wouldn't. And also this is a touchy subject, but I'm going to be candid with you. I love and believe in the Slim and Sassy products. I really do. Whenever I have used the Slim and Sassy oil, it really has helped satiate me, and it really has helped with my metabolism, so I can speak into that. But because I haven't changed other lifestyle issues in my life, and right now I'm a little heftier than I like to be, I probably wouldn't teach the class on weight control right now, unless I just wanted to do it and say, let's all do this together. I need to lose some weight. You know what I'm saying? I'm not operating in my strength. So that's probably not my number one I would teach. But most of you know, because it's been my story over and over, I would totally teach on the sleep class, because that's what got me hooked on these oils, and this is what convinced me how amazing they were. Because when I went to my first class at Lane and Becky's 3 years ago, I was going through menopause and I wasn't sleeping very well. And my husband and I always, at all times in our house, had melatonin and Tylenol PM. Those were staples. And when I heard this lady that I didn't know at Lane's class talking about something she used for sleep, I never heard the word vetiver, but it was vetiver and Serenity. And you know, she talked about using those, and then I heard that cedarwood helped with mind chatter, and I heard these things sound kind of wacky to me at the time, and I went home and used them, and lo and behold, they worked. You know, of course, I think it's a small world, but then I tried it again and it worked. And so that was 3 years ago. That really was my intro to the oils, to, oh my gosh, they're amazing. So see, I can talk about that. So in the LLV, the Lifelong Vitality, the vitamins, I love them. They work for me. I've seen a difference. My plantar fasciitis isn't even as bad. My arthritis in my hand isn't even as bad. So I really do believe my overall health has been improved by using the Lifelong Vitality. So I can really say that because that's my story. So I'm just saying, operate in your own strength. So anyways, I would suggest you have 8 continuing education classes. And then of 4 of those 8 you choose, you would have people stay an additional half an hour or so, and you would be offering 4 business education classes. And so really what you would be doing in those 4 classes, I mean, it would be like a small version of what I'm doing right here, just like the basics of business building. So, I mean, you would talk to them about sampling before a class, and you would talk to them how easy it is to teach a class using the class in the box. And you would tell them what I told you. If you can read, you can teach a class, and to keep it at 5th grade level. You would just talk to them about all the benefits of the business side, and you would get a lot more in depth with the financial side. And then you would help them through everything I'm helping you through here. And then you would help them with what is realistic in their time frame, and you would be going over that. And so, and I'm going to give you the handouts that'll help you with that. So anyways, you would just be doing 8 continuing education classes, and 4 of those would afterwards. So you'd have 8 continuing education and then 4 business classes. So that means 4 of the 8 classes afterwards would have an additional optional business side. So that's just that. So then let's talk about what's near and dear to my heart. It really is. I love, love, love leadership. And I've always said in the ministry world, you know, you talk about ministry and servanthood and leadership. And in the secular side of the world, it's the exact same thing, except for you kind of word it differently and say, you know, customer service. You still say servanthood, but sometimes you call it humbleness or whatever, but it's the same thing. And so this has always been really near to me. I really love this. So talking about this is really fun. And so my words that I always use in discipleship was model, mentor, motivate, and multiply. And in doTERRA language, it'd be the same thing, but we'd say share, learn, grow, and duplicate, because that's all we're talking about is every single thing you do, you want it to be duplicatable. And go back to, again, I told you my story of when I taught my first class and set up and did overkill, and you know, Jennifer and Lane told me, like, it won't come across as duplicatable. So we want everything to be duplicatable. So again, in my ministry world, I said model, mentor, motivate, multiply. In doTERRA language, we would call that share, learn, grow, and duplicate. So I want to use, and whether you're a religious person or not, I think you'll get the story from this, that we all would pretty much agree that Jesus is a pretty good role model. And so I'm going to talk about how he used model, mentor, motivate, and multiply, and how we could apply those exact same principles of leadership to our doTERRA business and to our doTERRA leadership. So I don't know if some of you remember, because it's pretty old, but there was a song that Amy Grant did called Fat Baby. It was a cute little song, but the whole meaning, hi Jolie, the whole meaning of the song was that every time the church doors open, people went to church, and there was all these pew sitters, you know, every time the doors opened, they were there. But the whole gist of the song was, it's like, yeah, that's great that you're showing up every time the church doors open, but what are you doing? And, you know, it's kind of true, like, God doesn't really want us just to be a pew sitter and just show up at church all the time. He wants us to give back and to do something. And I was thinking of kind of how that relates to our oil business. And again, I'm going to be really candid right now because remember, I'm not talking to users. You're only here because you're a business builder. That's the only reason you're taking my online class here. Or we're talking about emerging leaders. It's because you want to build a business. So how that Fat Baby song relates to me, that I think some of us is we keep going to classes and we keep, I wonder what Becky's doing, I wonder what Lane's doing, I wonder what Jolie's doing, and we keep showing up at these classes. And I'm not saying anything's wrong with that. I'm just saying, I think that there becomes a time where we need to take ownership for ourselves and let's do something, let's share. And the beauty of us having classes is that we invite you, in fact, we encourage you to say, hey, jump on board with me. Like if I'm holding a class, by all means come, but use that as an opportunity to bring somebody. That just means, lucky for you, tonight I'm doing the work for you, or Jolie's doing the work for you, or Lane or Becky's doing the work for you. So it's not like we don't want you to come, but we're saying use that opportunity to bring a friend. And I think when we just keep showing up all the time and we're not bringing people and we're not doing our own classes, I just think we're becoming like that song that Amy Grant sings, and we're just becoming fat babies. So, I just hope I'm challenging you there. And again, I'm being really candid right now, but because you are here because you're a builder. So I'm saying, gosh, we're giving you the tools. And one thing I really want to encourage you is that the tools are out there. And one thing that, Elise reminded us when we were in Prague, and she says, and you guys think about this, and this to be true, a good leader, they're going to do it on their own. So the thing is, a real leader doesn't say, well, Jolie didn't do this for me. Sherry didn't do this for me. Oh, Gwen dropped the ball here. Well, I didn't know how to do that. You know what? That's just kind of like icing on the cake, because a good leader, you don't even need us. You're going to find the answers. You're going to find that. So anyways, don't want to harp too much on that, but I'm just saying, food for thought about that. We don't want to be little fat babies. So just think about how that relates to us. And then, again, if we're going to use... Amen, Carolyn. And then, and I'm proud of you. If we want to use Jesus as an example, how did he use the model, mentor, motivate, and multiply, which we're saying share, learn, grow, and duplicate? So what did Jesus do when he modeled it? Well, let's talk about the disciples, okay? And think of the disciples as our team, right? And what Jesus did is he came and he said, come with me, follow me everywhere. And you know what the disciples did? He watched them. They watched Jesus to see what he would do. So you know what all your team leaders have done? And not only your team leaders, but your upline, because I know in San Diego, Becky and Lane invite you all the time. And then we have like Danielle does stuff. And then you've had Kathy Hunsaker come to town. In other words, you have people who have invited you in. And what they're saying is, come watch me, come learn from me, and doing things like this. And I applaud all of you that are on here. And I thank you for the time that you've invested this week. I truly, truly thank you and appreciate it. But what we're saying is, we're modeling the way. Come learn with us, come see. So that's what Jesus did. He modeled it and they watched. And then he mentored them. Well, how did he mentor them? Well, you know this. He told stories. He told parables. He said, come walk with me and see what I do. And that's what we've done when we've had classes or we've had events. We say, come along with us. Come just see what we do and see how we lead. So that would be mentoring. And then motivate. What did Jesus do? He cheered from them in the crowd. And you know what else he did? And I thought this was really key. Jesus reminded them, I won't always be with you. And you know what? Us as your leaders, although we will be with you in spirit and in encouragement, we won't always be with you. And you know what? You don't want us to always be with you. And in fact, a lot of diamonds, we've heard stories how people say, oh, I fired my upline. And at first, you can think, should that hurt my feelings? Or like, I'll tell you what, I have Jolie. She's a rock star. Should I have my feelings hurt that she's so awesome and doesn't need me? Or should I say yes? And I remember that John Maxwell always said, the greatest compliment is when your leaders can rise up and be even better than you. So I'm going to encourage you to be excited and celebrate the people under you. And if they have more better or different strengths than you, celebrate those strengths and cheer them on for all the great things they're doing. So anyways, that would be motivate, is that he encouraged them, he cheered them on, he told them that there would be a time he wouldn't be with them. And then there's multiply. What was the whole point of Jesus? was to make disciples, right? To make disciples and to do the work. Isn't that what we're doing? We're building teams. We're building teams and we're saying, I can branch off on my own. I can do this. And so as making disciples with doTERRA, we're growing teams and they don't need us anymore. And like I said, we're always going to be here, but isn't it great that you don't really need us? And I just think it's really cool to think on that. And Elise was telling us that really she only works with her leaders about a year, because after that they don't really need her. And also she said she really only ever works with 4 leaders at a time. And I touched on that before, and I know some of us were kind of overwhelmed because we're doing so much of the work and we're reaching down and we're helping so many people who maybe aren't leading the way they should. And so we're reaching down and doing that, and so it's becoming very overwhelming. So I think it goes back to, if we can just pour into our leaders, teach them to do the same, encourage them to flourish, and applaud them on, and just watch the duplication happen. It's really huge. So you guys all might be thinking, and so again, using Jesus as our role model, and if it even happened to Jesus, then it encourages me that it's not so awful. Well, I was thinking about, maybe the person on our team who started out really strong, or said, yes, I want to do this, and yeah, I'm really excited about building a business with doTERRA, and then they absolutely flopped or flaked or, changed their mind or had circumstances beyond their control. There could be all different reasons. And then I thought back about, pretty much I would say Jesus is the perfect model, right? And out of the 12 disciples, what happened to Judas, right? So, wow, how many of us have Judases on our team? And that's really disappointing, isn't it? Or it's sad. But what did Jesus do? He was able to operate just fine with the 11 disciples he had left, and he poured himself into them. And I think we are encouraged to pour ourselves into those who want it. And I've always said, and I keep trying to communicate this, is I'm running with those that are running with me. And I've always said, I cannot wait to celebrate that line with my hands raised in the air and say, yes, I am so excited to do this with you, but I don't want to pull you. And when we are at convention and we walk over that line and you walk that stage, I want to be there celebrating just like all your leaders do. And I want to celebrate with you, but I don't want to pull teeth to get you there. And so I was just thinking about Judas and how Jesus must have felt the disappointment. And I know that we feel the disappointment. And something that was like my real ouch moment, because I already knew it, and you're going to know it when I say this, but something that now I'm quoting to myself over and over because I learned it from Elise. She kept saying, it's easier to give birth than raise the dead. And I know you're thinking, but it is easier to give birth than raise the dead. And I think some of us maybe have a leg that we're pouring into. And why? Like maybe it's time that we just move on to a different leg. And then sometimes you think, oh, but I've already invested here. I've already put people there. And don't I know, because I have this on my team. And it's just, I'm telling you, Lane's going to tell you, whoever's been before you is going to say, you think you're trying to save that, but sometimes it's just much easier to move on and start a whole new leg of somebody who really is running with you and somebody who really wants to do it. And one thing she said that was really a slap in the face to me, I mean, kind of even hurt, except for that it's so true, I couldn't argue with it. And she was saying, you know what your biggest fear is? You're scared to death. You can't really find a real builder. And so I had to keep thinking about that. I'm like, yikes. Is that true? Like, that is true with me. Is that the reason I don't move on? The reason I keep pouring into this one leg over and over and over that doesn't want to build is because my fear that I can't really attract a leader. So I'm going to ask you with me that we let go of that ugly fear and that we can learn to go forward with the business we really want to build. And even if it means a moment of stepping back and evaluating what we have so that we can go forward. So that's just my thought for you there. And I showed you my power cards that I like to look at, and I bought for my team as well, the Soul on Fire. And one of them that I'm going to read to you tonight, and I want you to ponder, is, to be happy there, I will embrace happiness here. And I really want you to think on that, because I think that we all want to be diamond. We all have our minds set on diamond and the financial rewards that come with diamond and what it will provide. And I don't want you to give up thinking of that, because that's what I'm thinking on, and that's what I want, and that is my desire. In fact, it's not diamond, it's blue diamond or triple blue diamond, right? I mean, that's what we all want, and we know it's possible. But I think that we have to be happy here where we are before we can go to the next step. And I think we have to hone our skills here and love on our people here and pour into what we have, and so that it's duplicatable before we can go the next step. But when we do that, it's going to be so much stronger. It's not going to be us filling holes, or like I was saying the other day, having a bucket full of holes. I don't want to fill a bucket full of holes, and I can't do that anymore. I'm trying to plug all these holes. So it'd be much better to rebuild. So just think on that it might be easier to give birth than raise the dead. So I wanted to talk about, the business mentoring and talking about how we can mentor and how we can help and how we lead. And, you have to think about, because all of our leaders are different, just like all of us are different, and we all have different things that we need. So just think about, the people under you that you need to help is, well, what do they need? And, what are the resources, or do they need resources? Do they need encouragement? Do they need accountability? Like, what do they need? And, again, I was thinking how it's very cool if we all operate in our own strengths. And that, like, for instance, I'm going to give you an example. Lane would have loved to do Diamond Club, but with her full-time job and with putting on a daughter's wedding, and she had 2 weddings back to back basically, and with all that's going on in her life and with her full-time job, like, that's not even an option. So she celebrated me, sponsored me, and so did Becky and Kathy Hunsaker, sponsored me, but then Lane was there to resource me and to help me and say, what do you need? And she was there to listen to my whining and my and my ranting. But then I was thinking, this week I'm doing this training with you guys, and techie stuff is just not my strongest suit at all. And then I was frustrated because there's a few people that aren't on Facebook, and so I wanted to be able to get these tapings over to YouTube. But I was having a heck of a time with it, and it was just very frustrating to me. So Lane is very, very good at doing this kind of stuff, like figuring stuff out and finding solutions. Like, we all could Google it, but somehow I don't know what it is. I do Google it. I get really frustrated, and Lane finds the answers. So that is a blessing to me, and that is what she can provide for me. So just really think through, like, what does your leader need? Is it just that you can point the directions and give them resources? Yes, I adore Lane too. She's the best. Or is it just encouraging them, like they need words of encouragement, or do they just need accountability? And I think about accountability is, I had a mentor once years ago, and she would talk about taking people kicking and screaming where they want to go. Well, what does that mean? Is I can take you kicking and screaming. I'm willing to hang in there for that if I find out what you want and take you where you want to go. But I can't take you where I want you to go. That doesn't work. I have to find out what you want. And that's what's really important, to listen to people. And even like in the very, very beginning when we're sharing the business plan, is find out, what do they want? What would they provide? Because it's never just money. And like with my story, and I didn't mean this to sound, arrogant or braggy, but I didn't need the money when they first shared doTERRA with me. But I was excited once I realized that I could give to things and I could be generous in ways I never thought of because of the money. So there's different reasons what money can provide. Thanks, Carolyn. So anyways, you just really have to listen to people and find out what they want. So anyways, I love that you have to take people kicking and screaming where they want to go. And then last night I was reviewing teaching I heard by Elise, and you can actually go onto YouTube and find it, and I don't remember the title, but it was something about operating in your strengths. That might have even been the name of it. But I think it's an older recording, but it was very, very good. And she was just reminding us, and actually I know this is true because some of the things she said, I remembered, oh yeah, she touched on that when we were in Prague. But like, she barely even knows the computer. She can't even email well. That's the basics, and she can't even email. And with her and Patrick, her husband, they're a team, and it's really good because he does all the online stuff and the back office stuff. And what she was saying is reminding us the same thing, is you have to operate in her strengths. Well, you have to know what your strengths are, and don't underestimate, like you might think, well, I didn't know that was a doTERRA strength. Don't underestimate that, because whatever your strength is, I guarantee you, you'll be able to apply it to your doTERRA business. And so like, for instance, she's really creative. So her strength is that she can meet with people and she can promise her team, don't worry, I can strategize with you. I can get us where you need to go. Like, just as you trust me, I can get you there, because I'm very good with strategy. But what she's not good with is anything techie, with any email. And she was saying, now this is pretty funny because none of us could actually call Emily Wright. But anyway, she has Emily Wright's number, and she said one time Patrick was gone and she needed to enroll somebody. It was like down to the last hour. It was like right before midnight, and she needed this enrollment entered. And she realized she didn't even know how to enter an enrollment. Okay, now this is pretty funny because it's Elise Chedevy. And so she called Emily Wright and she said, Emily, I'm down to the wire. There's like 5 minutes before midnight and I need to enroll this person. Can you show me how? And Emily said, you're kidding, right? Because, you know, Elise was already pretty high up in those days even. And she's like, I don't know. I've never done it. So the point is, you have to operate in your strength. So I think that's so important. And so I remember in the beginning thinking, I can't teach like Lane, or I don't get the scientific stuff like Jennifer. And then even like Gwen on my team, she's more into the fitness health and gets the body systems even way more than I do. You can't be intimidated by that. You have to celebrate that and learn and glean what you can from those kind of people. So that's what it was. You're right, Jolie. It was branding. Yes, it's amazing. So that's what it is, you guys. Go on to YouTube, and it's her branding video. And she talks all about branding yourself. And you're talking about, and I always thought that word branding meant like advertisement. Has nothing to do with that. Branding means operating in your strengths. Branding is going for what you're good at. And we're all good at something. And that's where you're going to operate your doTERRA business, and how you're going to share with people is what you're good at. So with that said too, I also wanted to encourage you guys. I heard one of the best teachings I've ever heard from Brene Brown. I know doTERRA has had her, and also the Leadership Summit. I heard her in person at the Leadership Summit a couple years ago. But you can go on YouTube, and I'm actually going to encourage you to do this. It's only 30 minutes of your time. But she did the best speaking I've ever heard on the anatomy of trust. And the reason I want you to listen to this is because us as leaders, we need our team to be able to trust us. And it's probably, she's going to put it in a whole different way than you've really thought about trust. But even simple things like, I've heard the saying, years ago, that those who talk to you will talk about you. And that's true. It's not really a compliment when somebody whispers in your ears and says, did you hear what she did? Because what you're really realizing is they're not confiding in you. If they're telling you, then they're the type that'll talk, and so they'll also talk about you. But we want to build trust for our team. So with that, I also wanted to remind you a principle I learned long time ago when I started in doTERRA is just be sure, if you want to complain up. So it's safe to complain to your leader. That's fine. Complain up. But when you're down, when you're working with people, celebrate. Talk the best about doTERRA. So I'm talking about even when, doTERRA's computer goes crazy, and of course, I get frustrated too. Take your complaints to your upline, but don't let your people you're mentoring see that. So just, complain up, encourage down. That's just like a principle I just wanted to remember. So I wanted to, again, using Jesus is our example. I wanted to, there's a scripture that just really reminded me of what we're talking about. And that is Luke 16:10 talks about the principle of anyone who can be trusted in little matters can also be trusted in important matters. And the reason I think that does apply to us, and also how that goes right along with to be happy there, I will embrace happiness here, is I think that sometimes we look at people making more than us, looking better than us, and we always want what they have, or they're so lucky, or they're this, they're that. And really, I think let's just start where we are, and let's just get grounded where we are, and let's just learn principles where we are, and then watch yourself and your team flourish. So anyways, anyone who can be entrusted with little matters can also be entrusted with important matters, and that's from Luke 16:10. So with that said, I want to, there's not that many of us now, but some people will watch it later. If you're on here, I wanted to purposefully, and some of you already know about it because your leader has told you, but I wanted to invite you to something I'm doing on Friday, August 4th. I'll be in San Diego, and what I'm doing is I'm celebrating my leaders. But the reason I'm not posting this is because the prerequisite for going to my event is because it's totally a celebration, and it's way more where this whole training we've been doing is for emerging leaders. What we're doing on August 4th is more like kind of like the tough truths and looking at our team and looking where we're at and doing some evaluation. So there's going to be some honest looking, evaluation type looking, and there's going to be a really big celebration. So really the prerequisite, again, is you need to be in this training on emerging leaders, because it goes right along with if you can be trusted in the little matters, you can be trusted in important matters. Well, I need you guys to, do this emerging leader training before we celebrate you where you want to go next. But I would love if you could be there. So I'm going to do it at San Pasquale Winery, and I do have limited seating, and I'm going to provide lunch for you. So I would love, so if any of you can go there, I would love for you to email me and say, yes, I can be there. I would love to have you as my guest. It'll be really fun. But again, that's why I'm not just posting it as an invite, because I want people to have gone through this training before they go. So yep, absolutely, encourage down. That's exactly what I'm talking about. So I think we did good again, and we only have one more class, and that's tomorrow morning. And with that said, I'm hoping this is okay with you guys. I had said 10 a.m., but I really need to do it at 10 a.m. my time, which is going to be 9 a.m. San Diego time. And I know you, even if you're not live, you can watch it later. So I hope you got this, and I will post it online that I'm going to tape tomorrow live at 9 a.m. San Diego time, 10 a.m. Idaho time. It'll be our last class tomorrow morning, and we're going to be talking about Elite in 6 weeks. And just to remind you, why is the Elite such a big deal? It takes 3 Elites to make a Silver. So if we can help all of our team get to Elite, then yay, you're instantly a Silver. And we know Silver is good because that's when you start making the bonus pools and a lot, a nice substantial income. So that's kind of like our starting point. So anyways, I can't tell you how fun this has been. It's truly from the bottom of my heart. It's been fun to watch your comments. I usually get offline and then I read the comments that I missed. Oh, hey, Kelly. So anyways, I'm very excited you're here. I appreciate the time investment that you've put in. Comment away, because I do read the comments. And again, after you attend this training, I would love to see you Friday, August 4th. So let me or whoever your enroller is know that you can attend, and let me know if you have any questions. And I promise tomorrow, after I do the last session, I will post and email those that have asked me to email. I will send you all my links. Okay, thanks a lot. Have a good evening. Love you guys, and can't wait to see you in San Diego, most of you. Talk to you later. Bye.